what I also believe from this particular event is what ultimately put Charlie Kirk into extremely hot water. And that, of course, is the fact that he decided, whether he was warned ahead of time, which I think you and I would both agree he probably was, do not platform Dave Smith under any circumstances. And he did it anyway.
I just don't think it's one thing. First of all, look, if you support what Israel's doing in Gaza right now, I would just, like, my advice to you guys is just know that you never have a leg to stand on claiming to be pro-life for the rest of your life. Just saying that. If you, so it's okay to support policy.
Let's not boo our speaker,
It's okay to support a policy that is killing babies. All of a sudden, killing babies is negotiable. All right, fine. I'm just reading the room.
So, Dave, why don't you...
No, I'm not talking about for Hamas.
Hold on. Back up, Dave. Why don't
I just let you go on this whole long thing?
I know. I'm going to actually help you out here, Dave, okay? What I'm doing is I want you to tell the audience what's going on in Gaza, because some people in the audience don't know what's going on. So don't assume they know, and let's not get back...
okay. Well, I did assume that most people know that lots of babies are being killed in Gaza, but maybe I shouldn't have assumed that.
Don't be sarcastic about it, Dave. Instead, I mean this. Because
no, I meant that literally. I did assume that.
Loop where they're on social media all the time, okay? So walk through numbers, walk through what animates you to say something like that.
Well, okay. Well, let me respond to a few of the things that Josh claimed. I mean, if you want to go, there was just a major report a couple weeks ago in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, where they had a bunch of IDF soldiers. They actually had one who went on record who was saying that they were ordered to shoot at crowds of people who were going into
all right, what a libel left-wing filth, by the way.
So you got Josh Hammer on one side saying this is a bunch of left-wing filth. And to Charlie's credit, he doesn't interrupt him. He doesn't say that he's wrong. He just lets him say what he's going to say. And you better believe, to the millions of people that are hearing this, whether or not they believe Dave Smith right out of the gate, they're definitely going to go online and take a look and see, wow, is it true that these IDF soldiers are actually blasting away at starving children? Then they might end up discovering who Anthony Aguilar is and discovering exactly what he saw when he was there. And so when you are attempting to shield the world, especially the Western world, America specifically, from seeing exactly what's going on there, you'd have to imagine, Jen, that Charlie Kirk was one of those people that the Zionist project relied on heavily to protect it from ever being exposed. And it isn't a question of whether he said it, but the fact that he used his platform to let somebody who they absolutely hate say it, that's putting yourself in harm's way as far as I'm concerned.
I just don't think it's one thing. I don't think so. And I think that the picture is bigger than that. That's sort of like you're looking at like a handful of trees. And I just think he is sacrificed for a much bigger cause. And it could be that. It could be, again, the biggest reason is distraction. It's a freaking circus. It's a circus. And he gets to be a martyr. It causes people to start talking about, you know, controlling and oppressing the left specifically. And Trump did come out with a statement with the radical left. And this was not a radical left thing that was done. So that then makes me believe that it was done with the intention of that being what perception would be. And that's the point. Also, again, I do believe they're wanting to further infringe on our civil liberties, create more militaristic police state. You know, I mean, all of this is part of that. And it's, yeah, I feel like it's really a very big distraction. Yeah, like, again, I care infinitely less about him than any single Gazan children that was killed in the past 24 hours.
Josh, I let you talk. Let's please let Dave make his case.
Well, is the IDF soldier who went on the record also filth?
Probably.
Okay. All right, there you go. So there, see, you're whatever. That's when you'll criticize the IDF. Look, Josh is just lying when he says that Israel supported Hamas for all those years because they feared there might be a worse alternative. It's just not true. And this has been so widely reported. You don't have to rely on Haaretz. You can rely on all types of reporting, or you can just look at all of the leaders in their own words, what they said. They chose Netanyahu, and this was very controversial in Israel. There were lots of critics of this. Netanyahu thought he had this brilliant idea, which is that he would prop up Hamas and keep them in power. His exact quote was, "We can control the height of the flame, So he was like, we'll keep these terrorists in power, and that way we can tell the entire international community that, look, we have no partner for peace. We have no one to deal with here. And that way we never have to negotiate with the Palestinians.
Couldn't have said it better. And I think the point of that tweet that you highlighted is that this is just one big distraction.
Absolutely. From Gaza, from the flotilla, from Epstein files, from yes. And you get to and you get to take away our civil liberties as a bonus. Yes. That's what I think. Every time that something like this happens to someone they give a shit about, then it's time to crack down on security and take away our rights. When it happens to regular people, then people like Charlie Kirk say, well, that's just the nature of the Second Amendment. Some people are going to have to die. I agree, Charlie. I agree.
Well, I think that the other thing that we have to keep in mind, and guys, we have 710 people watching live right now, but only 275 of you have hit that like button.
Oh, come on, guys. Just hit the button.
Come on. Hit the button.
It really does help, guys. If you hit the button, if you share it with one person, it really helps.
Mm-hmm.
If you are new here, welcome. We must have new people right now.
I would imagine so. Guys, remember, the key here is that as much as you may not care whether or not Jen lives or dies, I do. And I want her to live long enough to see us get to 100,000 subscribers so she can be buried with the silver plaque, however long she's alive. I doubt we'll get to 1 million, but I think 100,000 is realistic. So we won't ever get the gold, but I think we'll get the silver. And so for that, I am grateful. Right now, we are sitting at 55,458 subscribers. To think that we are just over 44,000 subscribers away from making it a reality. Jen, I mean, come on. Who would have thought, right? Ain't that crazy?
It is crazy. This is actually probably the most people that I've ever had while I've been here. You generally do much better without me.
Well, I think some people are getting a taste of what my politics was like, but now they're seeing that you are absolutely a leftist. There is no getting around that. And either they can accept you for being you or they are going to hate you. But as I said,
I'm sort of an acquired taste, but I promise, I'll grow on you like a fungus. It's true.
Kind of like Dave Smith did. We'll finish it up.
This was the game that he played, and it blew up in his face and really blew up in the Israeli people's face on October 7th. And I've never downplayed October 7th. I know, but I'm just making the point that I never have.
Thank you for that, because what happened there is totally
evil. You don't have to downplay any of that. And in fact, I've criticized many other critics of Israel who have downplayed that. It was a hard.
I always find it interesting how when people discover our show, there's always the Steve Buscemi comment that comes right out of the gate.
We know. We know. We've heard it many times.
But how much longer do they actually? This is the question that I have, which I think is more important. How long do they think they're going to be able to continue to say October 7th? October 7th. And amazingly, we're less than a month away from the anniversary. Can you even imagine what a deal the Zion-Nazis are going to make out of October 7th this year?
Yeah. And that's another thing I don't care about. I don't care about October 7th. I don't care about Hamas. I don't care about anything that you were going to tell me that occupied peoples have done in reaction to being occupied. I don't care. I do not judge how occupied people resist being occupied. And if you do, you should examine that. You should examine that. So no, I don't care. I don't, and not to mention there is so much fucking evidence that not only did Israel know, but they had their people stand down. Israel wanted that to happen. Now, whether or not they planned it, I don't know, but they definitely helped it, and they definitely took advantage of it. And yeah, for sure. And so this was the plan. We are now in the final solution of what has been a 76-year Holocaust. This is the final solution. And they needed October 7th for their final solution. So, yeah, I don't care about October 7th, and I don't care about Hamas. And when people say that to me, I want to punch them. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We'll finish it up.
horrible day. Awful, atrocious acts were committed by Hamas terrorists. But at the same time, Benjamin Netanyahu was propping those guys up. In fact, according to the Israeli former defense secretary, he sent the head of the Mossad to Qatar to, quote, beg them to continue shipping the money in. Meanwhile, they had a blockade around Gaza.
I don't hear any lies. I think we have.
Has anybody sued him for libel? You know what I mean? Like, you could call it whatever you want to, but if you had a case, you'd probably go at him, especially if you were Netanyahu.
My frenemy, who supports Charlie Kirk, says Peter likes Hamas. I guess no, but I will quote my colleague here, and remember this, Uncle Sam, because clearly that's your real name, and that's your real picture. One person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
Always.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I mean, there are people in this chat who may support Charlie who actually believe that it is Judea and Samaria and that land is rightfully belonging to the Israelis. Again, there's no such thing as an Israeli. There is no such thing as the people who claim to be Semitic or even native to that part of the land. You know what they look like?
They're not
They look like
Semites.
Jen and I. They look like us. You think they could survive in the desert? I'm sorry. But we've seen the rendition of what Jesus really would have looked like. You know who he looks like? Our friend Anthony. That's who he looks like.
Yes. Our friend Anthony Paz really does look very Jesus-like to me. He really does.
And he is a Catholic.
He does. Yes, he does look like Jesus to me.
Listen, we appreciate the
Kenan's
compliment.
getting mad that we're engaging with trolls.
No, we appreciate it because if you say this, just remember, it doesn't bother me. It probably doesn't bother Jen, but you're helping our channel grow anyway. So we appreciate you even taking the time to leave a comment. Thank you. We appreciate it. But Dave has a little bit more to say, and Colin, check your phone. No, Colin has checked his phone. So you know what? I think that this in itself is probably as important as anything. Now, if you're looking for a reason to say, why would Charlie Kirk have become a target? Now, for those of you who are aware that Jen is in South Florida, I was in South Florida. We do not have a very high opinion of Patrick Bet-David. He was somebody who we had requested to have Jen on his podcast when she was running for Congress against Debbie Wasserman-Schultz. And in his haste, decided, I am going to act like I want to have you on, but I'm also going to try to sell you one of my masterminds because, let's be honest, he is a snake oil salesman. But he was known to have Charlie Kirk on from time to time. And the last time he was on, this is what Charlie had to say. Very cryptic, to say the least.
Zero many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right?
Is that true?
Is what true? Is that the judicial branch? Look, they've been having a lot of problems in there, and that is another thing about October 7th was very convenient for Netanyahu because he is facing some serious corruption charges. He was trying to dismantle their judicial branch of their government, and he was wanting to basically upend their constitution. And they were really having a lot of internal conflict there over this. So that's why the timing of October 7th is suspect.
He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Whew.
Yes.
It's very, yes, there had to be. There had to be. There had to be. That's science, okay? I don't know if people don't know how small Israel is. Israel is teeny. The idea that it took the amount of time that it took for them to do anything and respond is, there is no way that there weren't people that were standing down in certain locations. It's just not possible.
And
it's the most highly surveilled place on the planet.
And let's be honest, we are putting ourselves in harm's way by talking about this. Now, do I think they would come after us the way they did Charlie Kirk? No, because clearly we don't have anywhere near the reach and the impact that he did. However, do I think that we can get throttled, that enough people listen, the night that I went live for the first time on a Saturday, and we got 2,000 live viewers at a given time for like 2 hours, trust me, right after that, they throttled the shit out of the channel. They will do it again.
Because so guys, help us out. Please, help us out.
Yeah, if you can help us out. It really does matter because, again, we're trying to be as fair and equitable as we can with everybody. I know that's hard to believe. I know there are a lot of people who maybe even conservative and think we hate them. No, we don't. That's not how we think. We are on the side of justice. We are also on the side of people who are doing the right thing. Thomas Massey comes to mind. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene comes to mind, even though Marjorie Taylor Greene is an insider trader. But she is right on this core issue of our time. And there are others as well who are doing their job. To me, that's important. And the fact that he was saying this, I think, was also important. But he had a little bit more to say.
Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. Yeah. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools and by report.
A lot of questions need to be asked.
Randall wants to know, how is it justice to say that Kirk's death means nothing and I don't care? It's not my job to give justice. Not on that. I don't need to give justice for that. I really just don't care. It's not my job to give justice. And people like that, I'm all out of grace. So I have no grace and it is not my job to give justice. So that's why I don't give a shit.
If anybody really wants to understand why Jen does not care, just simply know that if you are new to this channel, this is somebody who came through her upbringing in a Zionist community. And to deconstruct that upbringing is very difficult. And it's also very difficult to understand that Zionism is the ultimate form of human supremacy. There is a belief amongst Zionist Jews that they are culturally, ethnically, economically, and socially superior to everyone else on the planet. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other cultures that feel the same way. The difference is, in this country, they have a lot of money and they have a lot of power. And as a result, they have created this marriage, if you will, between the two nations. As you often say, Israel is us, we are Israel. Yes. We are trying to change that. For anybody that has seen the commingling of the American flag and the Israeli flag, to me, that's treasonous. You are either for the United States of America or you are for somebody else. And clearly there are plenty who are for somebody else, like Israel, like a nation that if we do not break away from right now, they are going to sink us into the seventh circle of hell.